It's time to reprint Thoughtseize in the Standard. Now you may be thinking I'm insane, it's way too good for Standard, it should never and will never happen. But what I'll tell you is you're wrong, and maybe I am too, but that's what this video is all about. There are pros and cons to letting Thoughtseize loose, and that's kinda what I want to discuss in this video, on when and if Thoughtseize should come back to Standard. But what you should come back to is this channel, and you can do that by scrolling down and clicking that subscribe button. And while you're down there, leave the video a like and comment on whether or not you think Thoughtseize should be put back in the Standard. Anyways, with a plug out of the way, let's get to the real video. Thoughtseize first came to Magic all the way back in 2007's Lauren set, along with those wacky new card types called Planeswalkers. It went away from Standard once Lauren rotated out, and came back in 2013's Theros set, and because of this release, Thoughtseize is now included in the Pioneer format, just barely making that little cut by just 5 sets. The card itself is very simple. You pay 2 life, look at your opponent's hand, and make them discard a non-land card. It costs 1 black mana at sorcery speed. Don't let the simplicity fool you, Thoughtseize is one of the best black cards, well, kind of ever. And it's definitely the best hand disruption in Magic. Sorry, Derez. So why is Thoughtseize so good? Well, for starters, you get information on what your opponent is working with. Knowing what you need to play around and what to expect is fantastic, as you can plan what you're doing and how you need to go about it. The more obvious reason it's good is you just get rid of your opponent's best card. You can't discard anything if your opponent only has lands, but you do get to make fun of them for only having lands in their hand. The strength of Thoughtseize comes from its versatility in really just about any deck. Combo decks can force discard of something that can stop the combo, while on the contrary, other decks can Thoughtseize away a combo piece. It's not uncommon for a combo deck to Thoughtseize a Thoughtseize just so you can get to keep all your cards. Control decks can Thoughteize something they can't counter or remove easily with what they have in their hand, and tempo decks can snipe some removal spells that may put a hamper in their plans. Thoughteize is the great equalizer. Any deck that can cast a black spell can play it, whether it's control, aggro, tempo, combo, you name it. Thoughteize sees play in just about every format it's legal in, the one exception being Vintage, where it's kind of more of a niche card. However, Modern, Legacy, Pioneer all have tons of Thoughtseizes running around in all the top decks. But this is why Thoughtseize is a powerful card. But I wanted to provide some context for those who might not be familiar with just how fucking good Thoughtseize is. Now, the actual point of this video, putting Thoughtseize into Modern Standard. The Standard of old was one that was a lot more fair, even in recent years. Prior to the 3-year rotation change, which I do think is a good thing, then the decks were a lot slower and fairer. They also weren't particularly fun, if I'm being honest. That Is It Turns deck was ass to play against. And back during that era of Standard, I do agree Thoughtseize was way too strong. Games were a lot slower, more grindy, and unless Mono Red caught you off guard, games would take a pretty decent while before they actually ended and more impactful spells hit the battlefield. And Thoughtseize would just make black decks the best decks to be playing. But we need to look at the Standard of now. And one thing to note of the Standard of now is it is very fucking fast. Look at the top decks of the metagame during the release of Aether Drift. Rule Prowess, which can deal a shit ton of damage on turn 2. Bounce decks that just eat your hand alive while keeping you off of creatures. Control decks built around Bloomburrow talents and just keep pushing constant card advantage. These are all decks that do a bunch of different broken things in their own right. Standard is kind of balanced in power because everything is so powerful. A lot of these decks rely on a 1-2 punch of effects. Gruul is pumping Hotfire Hero up with a monstrous rage. Golgari is killing you with Unholy Annex and Archfiend of the Dross. Mono White is constantly drawing cards and getting more removal spells with Caretaker's talent. You do have cards like Duress in the format, but there's no equalizer card to kind of level the playing field. Every deck is just racing to do what it wants to do before your opponent can interact with you. And this is why Thoughtseize would be good in the current Standard. There's going to constantly be great cards that veer towards annoying and obnoxious. Just look at how much bullshit This Town Ain't Big Enough is doing now that multiple sets have dropped after doing nothing on release. Creatures and non-land permanents are both so powerful now, and being forced to play a discard card that only hit 1 kinda sucks, as a lot of the time if you discard a non-land there's a creature in there that you know is gonna fuck you up. Thoughtseize works in formats like Pioneer because it holds combo cards back by nature of being able to cut them off. It keeps things like Greasefang or Lotus Field from becoming too dominant in the format because these are combo decks that rely on specific cards, but they can't get them out super quickly. There are so many card combinations in Standard that do a lot of busted things if you don't take care of them quickly, and if you don't take care of them quickly, you're basically losing the game. I named some earlier, but that's just the top of the pile. There are so many interactions between different cards that a card that can get rid of one, even temporarily, is something Standard desperately needs, and that is Thoughtseize. If you don't have immediate removal answers for this combos, you're basically screwed. And even if you have removal, that doesn't mean you can actually use it. Players don't have to fight in the hand because they can cast the creatures freely and protect them with stuff like Snakeskin Veiled or Celted by Ghost. Thoughtseize adds another layer into the game to force players to have to consider what spells they're casting and what they have to keep in their hand that has the potential to get Thoughtseized. No one likes getting Thoughtseized, that's a given. But just because no one likes it doesn't mean we don't need it. I don't want to eat my veggies, but you gotta force it down because deep down you know it's for the best. Just like Thoughtseize is for the best for Standard. You might call me crazy, you might call me wrong, and maybe I am, but I in my heart of hearts thinks it's time for Thoughtseize to return to Standard. Standard survived the last time it was in Standard, and it'll most certainly survive after it rotates again should it be reprinted. And yeah, if it really breaks Standard, it can always be banned, but honestly, I think there's a lot more bannable cards ahead of that. And that's the end of the video. Did you agree? Disagree? See the perspective of the value of Thoughtseize in Standard? Let me know in the comments below, and while you're down there, leave a like and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. I've been JPig, thank you for watching.